In this video, we are going to be going over how to divide numbers listed in scientific notation. However, in order to dive into this 8th grade material, we need to first review dividing numbers with decimals. And that is due to this particular standard usually appearing on the calculator inactive section. Again, this standard, this domain, has a chance of appearing on the calculator inactive section. So we're going to do 1.6 divided by 2. Okay, so some reminders about dividing in decimals. The numerator is going to go inside our division sign here, and our 2 is going to go on the outside. Okay, so let's just very briefly forget about this decimal point here. How many times does 2 go into 16? Or 2 times what equals 16? Well, that would be 8. 2 times 8 is equal to 16. And again, if we do 2 times 8, we get 16, and my answer would be 0. Now we're going to bring up my decimal point. So my value, or as my answer, is 0.8. So again, this answer is 0.8 or 8/10 with a TH. Okay. Number 2 to remember is 2.4 divided by 6. So we have the number 2.4 inside my parentheses, or inside my division sign here. And 6, which is my denominator, is going to go on the outside. We're just very briefly going to list this and look at this number as 24. So 6 goes into 24 4 times. So I'm going to place a 4 here, and then I'm going to bring up my decimal point. So my answer is 4/10 with a TH, or 0.4. Okay. Now it gets a little bit more tricky. Let's say I have number 3, and that is 3.6 divided by 1.2. Okay, so 3.6 is going to go inside. 1.2 is going to go on the outside. And now, whenever we divide by a decimal, my decimal place value needs to change once here, and then also once on the inside as well. Okay, so my decimal, or 2, goes into the number 30, sorry, not 2, 12 goes into the number 36 3 times. And 12 times 3 is 36, so when I subtract those, I simply get 0. We're not going to forget about my decimal point that we moved, so my answer becomes 3.0, or just the number 3. Okay. Taking a look at a 4th example of dividing decimals, we have 16.5 divided by 5.5. Okay, 16.5 is going to go on the inside, divided by 5.5. I'm going to move the decimal place value once on the outside and once on the inside, which means my new decimal gets moved up. And 55 goes into the number 165 3 times. So my answer when I divide these is 3.0, or just the number 3. Okay, we are about to apply all of this now to dividing numbers in scientific notation. So let's take a look at 3.6 times 10 raised to the 7th power, all of that divided by 1.2 times 10 to the 3rd power. Okay, so first, just like whenever we were multiplying numbers and exponents, we are going to just be dividing our regular numbers first. So again, we are only dividing 3.6 divided by 1.2. When we divided that number up here, we got my answer as 3. So that piece is equal to 3, and now we need to know the exponent portion. We're always multiplying by the base of 10, and we're going to take a look at the exponents that we were dividing by. And remember our exponent law, whenever we divide by numbers with exponents, we actually end up subtracting them. So we're going to do 7 minus 3 and that number is 4. We're going to do a final check. Is this number correctly written in scientific notation? Let's take a look. 3 is greater than 1 and less than 10, and we have times the base of 10, so this is correctly written, and we need to do nothing else to change my answer. Okay, taking a look at the next example. Okay, we have 2.4 divided by, there was more to that, 2.4 times 10 to the 4th power divided by 6 times 10 to the 2nd power. I'll go ahead and kind of pause here for you to write that down. 2.4 times 10 to the 4th divided by 6 times 10 to the 2nd power. So first step is we need to make sure we divide our regular numbers here within our scientific notation. And we had already divided 2.4 divided by 6 up top there as this number 2, and we got the answer as 0.4. So we have 0.4 as my answer whenever I divided out my regular numbers. And let's take a look. We always have to multiply by our base of 10. And then we're going to take a look at our exponents. We have 4 and 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. So let's make sure that this is correctly written in scientific notation. And I see here that we have 0.4. 0.4 is not greater than 1, so I'm going to need to change this into the correct scientific notation. So with that being said, I'm going to take 0.4 and I'm going to use my exponent or my times 10 2 times. So I'm going to multiply by 10 one time and change my place value, and 2 times and change my place value. So my number is 40. Now to be correctly written in scientific notation, that number needed to be greater than 1 and less than 10, which was right here. So the correct number for my exponent is just 1 right there, that 1 place value change. So my number is really supposed to be 4 times 10 to the 1st power. That is how it would be correctly written in scientific notation. Okay, let's look at another one where we need to change it up just a little bit as we get our final answer. And we will need to correct that and place it in correct scientific notation. So I have 3.5 times 10 to the 11th power divided by 5 times 10 to the 6th power. Okay, so if I do 3.5 divided by 5, I am going to get the number. Again, if I was to do 3.5 divided by 5, I would get 0.7 as my answer. Okay, we always multiply by the base of 10. And then with dividing by exponents, our shortcut we discovered during our exponent law unit was subtracting them. And 11 minus 6 is 5. But as you notice, this is not correctly written in scientific notation because 0.7 is less than 1, or 7/10, the TH is less than 1. So I'm going to go ahead and write out what this says. So it says 0.7 times 10 to the 5th power. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to correctly write this number in correct scientific notation. So to do so, my number should read 7 with my decimal point here. That way my number 7 is greater than 1 and 7 is less than 10. So from here, let's correct the correct exponent. Let's make the correct exponent say the number of place values that I would be changing. So from this decimal point to the decimal point for my number, it's place value 1, 2, 3, 4. So the correct format would be 7 times 10 to the 4th power instead. Again, the correct way to write that would be 7 times 10 to the 4th power instead. Okay, so there are a couple of things to remember before we end our video in dividing numbers in scientific notation. First is, again, just let's do a brief recall. Watch parts 1 through 4 of dividing numbers with decimals in them and try your best to divide them as much as you can by hand, because this is a domain that has a chance of showing up in our calculator inactive section during our NC check-ins and then also end of grade test. The second thing is to remember is making sure that we check to make sure that my final answer is in correct scientific notation. And if it's not listed in correct scientific notation, it is in your best practice to do what your answer says to do. So here it was times 10 to the second power. I changed my place value twice and then wrote it in correct scientific notation. Same here, I changed my place value 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Realized my decimal point really needed to be after the 7, so my number would be listed as greater than 1, less than 10, which caused that place value change to only be 1, 2, 3, 4, and I wrote it with my correct exponent. If you are watching this video during the 2020-2021 school year, please make sure that you have taken your notes on page 23 in your math notebook, and your independent practice today is going to be taken on page 24, where you have the option to either attach the assignment to your Google Classroom post using the file feature on your laptop or your cellular device if you had downloaded the Google Classroom app on your phone, or you can also use the insert picture and upload the picture straight into the Google document that we are using today. Hope this video has helped. And again, if you are watching this during the virtual learning year, you are on page 23 of your math notebook titled Dividing in Scientific Notation. Best of luck to you.